Hi.
Hello, Jenn.
How are you?
I'm just dandy for any guy that's had his dog vomit twice in his car first thing on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
Other than that, not bad at all.
Yeah, I've got some of that kind of, not quite the same, but feels like it kind of stuff going on.
She was fine, but she did it a second time 3 houses down from my driveway.
Oh yeah.
So, I love my puppy. I love my puppy. I love my puppy. That's all I can say.
This is funny because you can relate where I had to move this from 3 o'clock to 2 o'clock because I got the rare appointment with the puppy trainer, and he's going through this it's hard to walk him phase, and I can't with everything that's going on also have a puppy that I can't walk, and I don't want the puppy to get stronger. So puppy problems.
Yeah, our furry babies. So, which is a great segue into what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah.
All right. What are we talking about today?
Well, I figured, obviously the trend that just continues to be kicked down and started pre-COVID is the lack of inventory. And, we're seeing some stuff come on, but we're still having, 20 offers per property on average, maybe 10 on average if you took in like Dutchess, Putnam, Westchester. But the low inventory trend just doesn't seem to want to go away. And I can't help a couple of things I think, and then I'll turn it over to you because you probably have a lot more thoughts on it, but I can't help. Well, I mean, because I focus on commercial and not just residential. So you've got your thumb directly on that pulse, but I can't help but think that there's gotta be, and now look, I'm safe, right? I am safe. You're a little bit more safe than me as far as as much as you're home, you don't really dine in person almost ever. So you have people that are at different levels of what they're comfortable with during COVID or weighing the risks or whatever, right? There's gotta be, because I have to tell you that I might not be super comfortable with people coming in and out of my house. And if I heard that the market was so hot that I'm gonna have 50 people show up on a weekend, there's gotta be a whole pool of people out there that just don't want to have their house on the market yet. And that factor weighs more than I might be able to get the most for my house. So that's one of my theories, but I do believe that there's a lot of sellers on the fence. I think that that's one of the reasons. And then obvious also, what the heck am I going to buy? Do I want to be in a bidding war with 20 people? How do I deal with that? Am I going to be homeless?
That's true. Well, not every category of home is flying off the shelf. However, the target seller, the person in the starter to move up home in our market, $400,000 to $800,000, say, they just sell. Tom Recapito, one of our agents in the firm, just posted that he had a. It's funny. I wish he didn't use that background, but he had a house go on the market and 9 offers or something like that almost immediately. It's just it boggles his mind just what an active market it is. So let's see. Tom wrote, let me see if I can find this. Really would like to find this post here.
9.
Yeah, this is craziness.
An hour. One offer over ask within 40 minutes of it being live.
Yeah. Over asking offer, within the first hour that it's live on the market. So I don't think necessarily that it's just COVID or just where am I going to move. I think there's still a bunch of people who would sell. They believe that they'll sell. We know that you can sell subject to obtaining suitable property. So that objection should be off the boards. But they want to wait until everything's a Norman Rockwell picture. They want to wait till the flowers come out because for 20 years they've been cultivating these azaleas, all right? And they want to show off, their gardening. And we run into this every March, every February and March. They want to wait till the flowers come out. Here's the thing. if your flowers aren't out, no one else's flowers are out either. No one else's
crazy
flowers.
neighbor with all the plastic flowers. His are out.
Yeah, I mean, pink flamingos might be out. No one else has their flowers out. And if you really think that someone's going to buy your house because of your rhododendron, you don't. I have never. There might have been one drunken night in college in the 80s where
And
I
I think
slept
you
in
only
rhododendron.
had one drunken night. I don't even think you had a lot, to be honest.
Back then, that's why you don't see me now very, very often, because back then I got it out of my system. But there may have been one azalea bed or one rhododendron night for me back in college where I woke up in rhododendron. But other than that, people don't sleep in the flower bed. Okay, people don't sleep in that. There we go. There it is. So there's a lot of things that are contributing to this. Yes, where am I going to go? Okay. But there is still sort of this, we want to wait until everything is thus and so. And I just don't think in this market, it is wise to not strike when the iron is hot. If you have a saleable property, show us pictures of your azaleas, and then let's get this on the market. Because unless you have a rancid kitty litter odor, you're going to get what you're asking for, as long as you're priced right. But I mean, it is bananas how difficult it is for buyers to find something. And there's also, here's something else that's a little crazy. There are in our Westchester and Putnam County right now, thousands of vacant homes. They don't have to worry about COVID because no one lives there. They don't have to worry about the flowers because it's a vacant home. They're paying taxes on it. Okay. Their parents died and they just can't get around to getting a dumpster out there. There are buyers that'll buy it with the contents. All right. There are real estate investors out there who are sick of dealing with renters and haven't bothered filling a vacancy yet. Now's your chance to cash out.
Yep.
Now's your chance.
Yep.
Your home is vacant. Your parents passed away. You inherited a house. You're divorced and you both moved. Whatever the reason, list that. It'll sell.
And then we did discuss a couple of weeks. So just reiterate for us, we talked about, so you're going to be getting this message out to property owners. I don't know that we talked about that part, but we did talk about when you stumble upon people who are willing to sell, but not willing to list with the, guess what? Clear cooperation. Is that the law?
Right. Clear cooperation. All right. So
with those new things, as we're educating the sellers, they may end up reaching out directly like, look, if you had some money, but I don't want to list.
Right. So there are people that may want to sell, and but they want to sell what's called a quiet sale. So they don't want to be on the MLS. They don't want a for sale sign out front and everything like that. I don't know what the typical rationale is for that. They want to sell for secret. We can do things discreetly in many respects. But no matter how you slice it, even if I used mental telepathy to find people interested in your property, guess what? Your neighbors are going to see cars pull up in your driveway and they're going to know you're for sale. So there's no way of keeping this a secret. But I can keep it a secret.
Some people, it may not be secret. Right now, legitimately, some people don't want 20 people over a weekend in their house. So
we crowdsource, we wait, but
thank you. That's about procedures.
There's it can be systematized. We don't want, look, I like being healthy also, right? I want to not get ill. I like my lungs. I like my brain. Not many people like my brain, but I like my brain. And I want to stay healthy. So yeah, I don't want to have a carnival barking situation where crowds and everything like that. So we can schedule people incrementally, get in, get out, time to go, things like that. We can do it in a systematized, as safe as possible way. Okay. So you don't want an open house? We don't have to have an open house. But other than the most extreme circumstances, people need to understand that your best bet to get the most qualified buyers and the most qualified eyeballs on your property is to put it in the MLS. Put it in the MLS and let the professionals, let the people who know what they're doing, crowdsource, manage the crowds, manage the showings, manage the systems, manage the cleanliness. Here's a little secret also. The people looking at your property may be moving from very densely populated areas, and they care about as much for their health as you do yours. Mm-hmm. They are concerned about you keeping the place clean. They're not going to go in and lick your doorknobs. They want to make sure that you keep the place clean. Right. They don't want to get sick any more than you do. So we're all in the same circumstance. We all want to get home safe.
Right? I'd like to tell you, for the buyers that are coming up from the city, when I went down to the city for that weekend, there was so much more compliance there on the street. Everybody on the street had a mask on. There was almost nobody. Where here on the street, not so much. You don't see that. So just take that into consideration as well.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had many difficulties that I've seen where people, I mean, I go to the store, whatever. I mean, people seem to be team players. And, some of them have I was vaccinated. Yay. Good for you. But they're still wearing masks because we still don't fully 100% understand the science behind it. By the way, folks, this is what it's like talking to Jenn. This is you're talking to
I'm sorry. I'm alone in the office and people are walking in. So hold on a second.
I'm not objecting to it. It's just what I'm used to. This is Jenn Marr in a nutshell.
I saw someone pull up. I'm like, but yes, it is today.
It's all good. It's all good. It could have just as easily been me.
Past 2 weeks, been a little crazy.
No, it's been a little, yeah, no doubt about it. So we've got spring market craziness, we've got family craziness, we've got pet craziness, we've got all kinds of crazy, and this is it's the life we've chosen.
It is a life we've chosen, and I keep my phone on no notifications, and I still get distracted. So
yeah, I can.
Make sure.
Look who you're talking to. All right, so if you're on the fence about selling. How do you know what the right price to sell your home for?
Charles Melcher Jr., you should call your broker. She'll come right over.
How do we value homes? Well, unless you've got a super unique property, we simply look at comparable sales. Now, unless you have a cookie cutter property, I will be the first to admit that not every comparable sale is a perfect comparison, so we have to make adjustments. But in general, I like Alan Dalton's definition of what a comp is. A comparable sale is something that someone looking at your property on a Sunday afternoon would also have on their agenda. All right. So you may have a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, mid-century modern with an attached garage underneath and a solarium and a sunroom and everything like that.
And horse property.
And the closest, and say what?
Horse property.
Horse property, right. And the closest comp we have is a Center Hall Colonial. I got it. So there's some adjustments to make, but someone who wants to be in that school district with that number of bedrooms, that square footage, in that neighborhood school system, or that local attraction, that proximity to shopping or parks or transportation, mass transportation. These are all things that are taken into consideration. And let me make things even more simple for you. Let's suppose we don't know whether or not to price the house at $580 or $620. Well, probably we're going to price it at $620 if we really have to ask. And guess what? The market will instruct us as to whether or not that's just right, too low, or too high. But in general, even if we priced everything at $1 the way they do on eBay, it would get bid up to market value. That's just the way it is, because more homes have multiple eyeballs and multiple interested parties on them, because we've got half the typical inventory, and that is putting pressure on prices upward. Now's your opportunity. I don't know how to say it any clearer.
We'd also have to just not negate that, but temper it with that there could be appraisal issues if we do go list at the high end, and then we end up and even get offers higher than that. Appraisals are still an issue.
Appraisals are always going to be an issue in a rising market because the look back is at lower prices.
Yeah.
So
as long as a seller understands that, and that, in some sense, unless someone waives the appraisal contingency, everything over that top number or somewhere in the middle and where it would get bid up to, in some ways, is not real money until that appraisal happens, unless somebody is willing to waive the appraisal contingency and or they were paying cash and willing. Some people pay cash and still have an appraisal contingency. So that's still a factor. But yeah, I agree. If ever there was a time to get top maximum dollar, it's now.
Every seller's market, we have the same issue. There is going to be appraisal issues because of the look back. All right. I wouldn't leave it to chance. All right. It's the best argument for being on the multiple listing service. One of the best arguments is appraisals, because the more comparable sales we have, the easier it is to build our case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's just take the case that we're watching a neighborhood and we're watching the comps sell for 580 and 590 and all the competing properties with accepted offers 610, 620. Okay. I guarantee you some of those sales are going to close at 610 and 620 because the buyer has waived the appraisal contingency. In other words, they've offered the seller appraisal protection. They have said that if this underappraises, we will make up the difference in cash. And that's the way markets rise. That's the only way a market can rise sustainably, is when the buyers put up the extra difference in cash. It's the only way you can get appreciation. Otherwise, the look back would always prevent any kind of inflation or appreciation.
So as listing agent, Phil, do you ask for proof of funds of that difference in cash?
Well, listing agents have a lot more leverage to ask a lot more these days.
Yep.
So if you are a listing agent and you are truly advocating for your seller and you are a buyer that wants to get your offer accepted, both sides will have to agree on appraisal protection, or else they'll go with somebody who's either offering more in cash or they'll wait it out. And they won't have to wait very long.
Yep.
All right. So we're seeing a lot more appraisal issues, but they don't have to be issues so long as the buyers understand that they're going to be making up the difference in cash. And if they don't, there's somebody behind you, or two or three or more, that are willing to do that very thing.
Yeah, and cash isn't always, it's actually been a little odd because one big competitor in this market has been people. So something that was like an as is and needed a ton of work. These rehab loans in the beginning were a big competitor because they would pay top dollar compared to an investor cash buyer.
Yes.
But the funding seemed to slow down. That's actually something I want to look into this week. I'm going to reach out to Christian. I had, I think, 203K loan not get funded. So,
well, Tony, Tony, Ruperto, one of our hotshot, awesome agents, just closed a 203K on a purchase.
Good.
And but I will tell you, it was a nightmare. And we had our difficulties just getting any kind of updates from the loan officer.
Yeah,
which is a whole other,
exactly what happened.
whole other issue.
And it was a $40,000 difference between all, like the highest cash offer was $40,000 less than the 203K. So it was worth the risk for 40K. But if it was 10K, I don't know that I would lean towards that after the experience I've seen.
Well, for $40,000, I think I would have a fairly high threshold of endurance.
Yep.
Sort of reminds me of the joke that somebody says about a guy walking into a Grand Central Station bathroom and he looks in the toilet and he sees a dime. And he looks around and he throws a quarter in and he fishes him out and he says, for a dime, no, but for 35 cents, yes.
Reminds me of my first smartphone that I dropped in the toilet in New Orleans. Yep. I went after it. in New Orleans in the French Quarter.
Well, the French Quarter, a French Quarter toilet would be decidedly higher mileage than something
And
in New
back
Orleans.
then, it was a Motorola Q, I think, was the phone, and
I remember that.
it worked. It was a different kind of smartphone. It wasn't like you sneeze on it and it stops working.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the moral of the story here is that many of the concerns that sellers have about selling, what if, there's an answer for it. And oftentimes there's a really good answer. What if we don't find something? Well, wait a minute. What are you doing? Are you downsizing? Are you going to get an apartment? Because they're not as bad. There's inventory out there. Are you going to get a condo? We just had a condo sell for, I don't know, was it 50,000 under asking? Because, and the listing agent was saying to me, I just, what we thought it was a seller's market. Well, not everything.
Well, it's a seller's market for space and air.
Yeah.
Not condos and co-ops so much. I had that problem I fired the listing because I said you're unrealistic. It is a hot market, but not for a co-op where, especially this was like 5 months ago, where you have to go up to the third floor, walk down hallways. People are trying to get out of that.
Yeah, do your laundry with people. So, right. So we don't want to, fire clients, but what you see on CNN, what you see on Fox Business Channel is a broad overview, but all real estate is local. So you should rely on your agent to let you know what's going on in the micro market that you are in. If you're in a housing complex, if you're in a private development, if you're in a certain subdivision, if you're in a neighborhood, if you're in a higher density housing, if you're in lower density housing. We had one listing, we're still going back and forth on it, because if you look on Google Maps, it backs up to an expressway. If you look at just the raw maps, if you're there, you hardly know the expressway's there because there's a whole bunch of woods and a whole bunch of geographic barriers between them and the next street over, which happens to be an expressway. So it's all local, and local knowledge, to me, well, to any seller, should be paramount. Temper what you hear on the TV, on the radio, on cable, with what the boots on the ground are in your micro market. But if you've
this is the time to reach out to your local agent and ask the questions, because there's so much, being put out there. So I encourage everybody who's listening, whoever your local agent is, reach out and get the skinny on what's going on. They may be a little too busy to reach out to you at the moment, but they certainly will be able to give you, an immediate snapshot of where you're at. And I know I'm curious. We're all curious.
If you call one of our agents, they'll get to you pretty soon. They'll get back to you pretty quickly, because we are looking for inventory. We are usually carrying 70 to 80 listings, and we have fewer than 20 residential listings right now.
Yeah. And we have not, taken a break. Obviously, we followed all guidelines, but our company's growing rapidly.
Are we supposed to be talking about that? Yeah, we are. As a matter of fact, we are.
You're the one who started it.
Who started?
I was being like, call anybody. I was being,
Oh yeah, I was sort of.
Then you drilled down.
Fine. Shameless self-promotion, right?
All right.
Our agents rock.
I'm having a confluence of life today, so actually we've been talking for quite a while, but I think we should wrap it up. And I got puppy training.
Okay. If you're on the fence, talk to your agent. Find out what the local conditions are, and see if that one concern you have is a tempest in a teapot, or if it's legit. Oftentimes, it is not the roadblock that you think it is, and we can figure out a plan to advocate for your best interests and still compensate for whatever concern you have. But right now, sellers have more leverage than they ever have.
No, and I'll just add, even if you're curious, never mind on the fence. Get your curiosity solved and know where you're at.
Yeah. Curiosity's fine. We like curiosity. All right?
Yep.
So, Timothy, take us home. Not